Hello, and welcome to the first time I'm podcasting outside or like doing a voiceover thing outdoors. I'm visiting my grandmother currently, and she lives in Florida, and they're redoing their kitchen, so you might hear some saws and stuff, but I think that's perfect because we are doing my Chani horoscope. I've already done like another Capricorn thing, but I'm obsessed with getting to know myself. I guess clearly so is this bird, and I thought it would be fun to like read my results of my Capricorn-ness, and I have like Capricorn in a lot of different places, so that's pretty cool. And I really like the Chani app. I don't have that much money to spend on it. I just used like a free month trial, but it's still pretty cool. I like the way it's written a lot. It's really good quality writing. But anyway, without further ado, let's dive into it. Okay. So it says, I know not of understatement. On even the smallest endeavors, I will bring my full being, unbridled enthusiasm and free-spirited levity. I have a preference for following the compass of my inspired desire rather than checking an actual map for specific directions. But I'll get there. Generous and swift with both criticism and praise, you often end up in hot water for having said the thing no one else would. True. Swept up in the fever of your intuitive channeling, you may be known for tearing through any and all filters placed on you. As a child of benevolent Jupiter, you tend to leap into the unknown, assuming you will land fortunately. And you usually do. It takes faith to have so much faith, and you have so much to spare. When you feel overwhelmed or restricted, you may give yourself over to insatiable gluttony, risking what you don't have to play with and letting a greed for the next great high consume you. To rectify this, you as the archer must aim your arrow at the truth and dedicate your whole being to boldly following its soaring release. Every sign in the zodiac is ruled by a planet. The sign Sagittarius is ruled by the planet Jupiter, which means that because you are a Sagittarius rising, Jupiter is a very important planet in your chart. It essentially steers the ship of your life. Pay extra attention to the description of Jupiter in your birth chart. But I have a tattoo of Saturn, so that's sad. Also, Jupiter is a very dumb tattoo to get because it's just like a big circle, you know? But yeah, I would tend to agree. Definitely, I remember in like high school, my one theater director called me No Filter Thea, and I think it's definitely the case sometimes. I'm trying to be more mindful of my words, and I definitely would say, at least on a good note, I am pretty convinced at aiming my arrow at the truth. Like, I don't really like lying. Every time I lie, I feel like super guilty about it, and I try to avoid it as much as possible, but also be safe in the body of a woman, you know? Venus sextile adjacent. Your ability to create moments of unity, cohesion, and beauty brings bounty into your world. You know how to smooth ruffled feathers, preen your plume, and attract a wide variety of playmates to your park. You treat the exchange of pleasantries like an Olympic sport when necessary, and few can escape your charms when you've decided to lay them on thick. Like honey, so much sticks to you when unprotected. Make sure you save the sweet stuff for those who know how to reciprocate. So I think that's pretty true. I will say I try to be very charming. I think part of that comes with like being a child of narcissist as well. It's a big, you're always trying to make everybody happy, even though they're determined to be unhappy people. Jupiter conjunct adjacent. Having a Jupiter conjunct your adjacent will magnify your impact on the world. Jupiter is big. It makes itself known and will give you the same effect. It's a planet that creates more of whatever it touches. It can give you an unstoppable buoyancy or an appetite for life. You may be known for your physical prominence, bombastic laugh, spirit of generosity, spirituality, or abundance mindset. Jupiter can, however, be quite excessive, and this placement can create a desire for insatiable quantities of whatever interests you. So I think it's very interesting that they say I'm insatiable, because that's something I have been coming into the realization of. Like, I've had a lot of wins, and I'm feeling like, why are they not enough? Even though, like, I didn't have these wins previously, things are clearly improving, but I'm like, I'm not enjoying the journey to success, which it really is like a series of monumental big steps. So I'm working on that, but it's good that it's saying I'm making myself known. Sometimes I have some shame about that, but I also am like, I feel like being known equals more money, so that's part of it. And it's like with my disabilities and stuff, they're very expensive, so I have to go for it. I hope you understand. Saturn square adjacent. Extra sensitive to restrictions that are placed upon you. You don't appreciate being told what to do. That's in part because you are already more than likely to be hard on yourself, but also because because of the former rules and regulations you've had to contend with. Burdens must be dealt with, but that doesn't mean they have to weigh you down. Find ways to stay fluid with your responsibilities. Rigidity sets in if you don't. Yeah, I would say, I feel like the actor in me loves being told what to do. Like, tell me how to do everything and I will fix it up. But I do hate being micromanaged, and I definitely am hard on myself. And like, so if I get criticisms or punished, I feel like I take it to heart more. Pluto conjunct adjacent. Having Pluto conjunct your adjacent lends you a depth and personal intensity. Pluto can create obsessive personality traits that can be redirected towards an in-depth study, investigation, and the facilitation of your personal power for good. Pluto wants you to plunge into the depths of life, and you may require activities that invoke many a transformative experience. I would say sure. Yeah, I try not to be intense, but I know that it's inevitable. Your sun is in Capricorn. Being the boss of your time and energy is your aim. Efficiency is your intoxicant, and being able to use tools at your disposal widely is a lifelong goal. Wanting to leave a legacy can feature heavily in your worldview, creating a work ethic within you that few can rival. Pragmatic and productive, you're committed to being an aficionado in boundary setting, schedules, and checklist. Whether your power suit features hiking boots, soldier pads, great gowns, or sweats, matters not. Only you know which ladders you need to climb, and only an appropriate amount of solitude and self-reflection can help you ascend which those might be. Hard on yourself to no end, you'll need to learn that shame spirals aren't going to win you any accolades. You deserve as much space to make mistakes, make amends, and make right what you got wrong as anyone else. When you learn to give yourself that kindness equal to your practices of accountability, you gain the treasure that you are really after and that only time can grant, wisdom. I think the thing about the mistakes is so important. I feel like more people than just Capricorns need to hear this. But yeah, like shame spirals, I definitely had to get out of that because it wasn't helping me go anywhere. And I'm still, I think, fighting through a lot of shame spirals and all of that. And yeah, I feel like my work ethic could be better. I feel honestly really disorganized, but I know that I am taking sets up to get there. And I know that I like store a lot of things away. Like I'll always find like websites that help people, and that's kind of been my thing during the pandemic. I like got that more organized, and now it's just like I have to like train that part of my brain. I feel like I'm a very messy Capricorn, but maybe we'll figure out why as we go in deeper. In the second house of assets, resources, and livelihood, you navigate the material world with pragmatism and patience. Adept at utilizing whatever resources you have available to you at any given time, you build stable sources of income that have the ability to last. While you may appear to be somewhat carefree and adventurous to the outside world, at your core you are wildly practical, especially when it comes to resources and financial responsibilities. Your identity is closely linked to the ways you make a living, so it's important for you to find ways to support yourself that feel morally and spiritually in line with your personal values. Higher education, spirituality, and philosophy and other cultures are all of great interest to you and may play an important role in your work. You are excited by the journey itself, and you aren't afraid of going after your most ambitious goals, no matter how long it takes to get there. Yeah, the moral part is something I'm definitely in right now. I feel like that's why I've been kind of questioning the arts, but I also feel like arts have the ability to make people happy, and that is also not so easy. And most of the arts I see today are like lacking that, and I want to like add the joy and zest and the funness. So yeah, I am sometimes afraid of how long it would take me to reach my goals, but I'm also like, I don't know what else to dream, you know? Gifts. Saturn sextile Sun. You know the value of work, and especially the value of your own work. You have the ability to stay grounded and discerning when it comes to the connections you make, particularly when it comes to assessing opportunities around resources. Whether you're building a business, empire, or managing your family's budget, you know how to implement lasting structures that will provide for the people you value. This is nice to hear because I think, and probably it's just like being in the body of a woman, people often like underestimate my value in my work and want me to just work for free, I guess, housewifing it, but no male budget. So very interesting. Challenges. Mars conjunct Sun. Challenges around accessing your own willpower, your ability to communicate and process conflict are vital parts of your life journey. You may find you have trouble fitting into certain professional settings or in a particular career path, which can result in anger, frustration, and off to the races impulses that, pushed too far, can lead to burnout. When processed and worked through, this presents a powerful opportunity for your own drive and work ethic to shine. Yeah, I would definitely say that I have a really hard time fitting in with people, and that I sometimes feel like I have to work at that rather than my own work, and that's frustrating, but I don't know if it's developed my own work ethic. Sometimes I feel like it's a waste of time, which might be something I need to just adjust. Uranus conjunct Sun. Surprises seem to follow you wherever you go, and they aren't always welcome. However, your ability to work with the unusual and seemingly random disruptive events is key to your life's purpose. While sudden events may affect your earning potential and ways of making a living, forcing you to have to adjust, it is important to remember those inner reserves of strength. When your finances are disrupted, you may internalize the shame of not having enough, which can be detrimental to your well-being. Value your tremendous resilience and ability to adapt. I think this quality is what makes me a good producer. I'm so used to surprises that Murphy's Law comes and we handle it, and I let people know, and we figure it out. But yeah, I think there was another one a little bit earlier that talked about like, oh, my well-being is really wrapped up in my career, and that is so true, because I feel like I don't have the stability of a career that I want yet, and it's been really like difficult. Neptune conjunct Sun. You tend towards the dreamy and idealistic, but you need to remember to protect your boundaries. Your ability to shine brightly as it may want to be hampered by an inability to stay on track financially. When it comes to making and holding on to money, you may facilitate between being overly idealistic and unable to follow through on your grand plans. You always have to be careful about entering situations where you may be taken advantage of, especially around financial dealings. Yeah, this is very true, and a lesson I learned a little late in my 20s, but something I'm learning more. I think now I feel like I hoard more finances, and I need to like go more. I need to maybe invest in dreams, but be really grounded about it, because I definitely, like, when I was in my early 20s, I really didn't understand money, and I thought that it was just like inevitable. And I think like working hard to it is like yeah, you can work hard for money, and I think sometimes you can set up things where money comes easy to you. It's just kind of what you want to do morally, and I feel like I need to work hard with money, and that's kind of a frame that I'm trying to adjust in a lot of ways, because there's definitely people who get a lot of money and don't work as hard as like many people who do with no money, but I'm still very much learning the language of it, and something I'm studying and figuring it out. My moon is in Taurus. A powerful manifester, you understand how to seed, water, and tend the many gardens of your life. You know that things take time, and you have the steadfast, committed nature to birth powerful new entities into being, sometimes quite literally. It is your delight and pleasure to foster new growth, whether people or projects. You know how to have a good time and enjoy reaping what you've sown. You're likely to surround yourself with lush amenities and creature comforts, which help you feel a sense of emotional security. Generative and generous, you invest in nourishing relationships, treasuring the folks in your life, and understanding the consistent care that it takes to build a long-standing connection. Because of your literal productivity and emotional bounty alike, you're a go-to person for many in need of advice or sustenance. Much as you enjoy this, it's vital that you not be a constant source of support for others without reciprocity. Yeah, I would say that, and that's something I was feeling, not so much now, but I definitely was feeling like a lot of weeks ago. It was like everybody leans on me for advice, and I don't think I get advice. Sometimes I just have people listen to me, which is still something I like, but sometimes you don't want that. You want like a deeper thing, but I do think that I really enjoy nourishing relationships, and that's also like why I've started being like a pretty good producer and stuff. Like I try to help people not just on the project at hand, but wholly. Like it's just something I can't help. In the 6th house of work and health, you are known for your ability to bring in an unwavering resolve to every task on your daily to-do list, particularly when you feel well-fed, well-slept, and groomed to your satisfaction. However, imbalances, emotional hardship, or fatigue can cause you to retreat into habits of overindulgence as a means of escape. You possess the fortitude to keep going through the normal tides of life, so pay attention to when your talent for enduring runs you ragged. Finding work that helps you feel like you're part of growing something rich, emotionally nourishing, and stabilizing for others is important. You may excel at collaborating and managing others' resources. It's important to find work where you are valued, where your dedication will pay dividends towards building the high-quality life you crave. Yeah, I would definitely say if I'm not well-rested, well-fed, or clean enough, I can definitely like feel like I'm suffering, and that, yeah, sometimes I do endure so much that I look and I'm like, oh, I've got to go to physical therapy, or I've got to go to the doctors, because I just like took so much and didn't get back, and that's been a hard balance in my life, and hopefully I can find more of that where I'm not running so ragged. The moon is your light leader. With the moon as your light leader, success as you define it comes more readily when you develop a relationship to the talents your moon possesses and the challenges it faces. The other planets that you will want to pay close attention to are Venus, Mars, as they are on the moon's team, and therefore you will be able to open more doors for you over time. The rest of your planets in your chart are of course important, impactful, and pivotal, but the moon, Venus, and Mars will take precedence in terms of their ability to help you manifest your potential. Like a person who works the night shift compared to the day shift, if you were born in the evening or the night when the sun was absent from the sky, the moon, Venus, and Mars will have dominion over your life's unfolding. But I was born in the morning, so, or I guess maybe, it's like 5 a.m., so the day sometimes dawns. It's like that last hour of the night, so very interesting. But I don't even know how to follow the moon, Venus, and Mars. It didn't really tell me that. Natal moon phase, first quarter moon. Born under this phase, you will need to challenge yourself to work with and through the crises that often accompany growth. Your life is filled with action, and you will generally be involved in many activities day to day. As the moon gains light, it also gains impact. Born under the first quarter moon, you want to be a part of shaping the outcomes of the major events that surround you. If it lacks a sense of urgency, you may not be overly interested in a project, person, or situation. Yeah, I definitely feel my life being filled with action and being busy every day. Whether it's a busy that gains me money or not, it's just like dealing with all of the things of life. Mercury trine moon. Planning, synthesizing, and creating order comes naturally to you. It brings you a sense of emotional safety and satisfaction to analyze, organize the details of your work life, and others look to you to know what's going on. I definitely feel like others look to me to know what's going on, but I'm relatively good at planning, but creating order is not. I would not say that this comes naturally, but that could have been damaged by the severe trauma. Venus square moon. You have a tendency towards a feast or famine mindset when it comes to allowing yourself the things you want. Sometimes it feels like an urgent emotional need to get what you desire, and other times you may judge yourself for going overboard on the things you love. Balance can be achieved by distinguishing between wanting to please others in professional environments and meeting your own needs. Yeah, I think that is definitely very true. There are times where I'm buying a $100 hat, and then there are other times where I'm shaming myself for having bought this $100 hat, even though it helped me, Mars trine moon. You have a tremendous amount of physical energy, and completing tasks gives you great satisfaction. You have a sense of urgency when it comes to accomplishing things that at the office, and it is a thrill to cross items off your to-do list. Your emotional stamina makes you well-suited to work that involves activism, such as healthcare, labor rights, animal rights, or another field you're passionate about. So I think in some ways it's good that I'm in mental health. Maybe I should get more involved in healthcare. They just don't really tell you how to do that when I was in school anyway. But I wouldn't say I have a tremendous amount of physical energy. I think it could seem that way, but I'm honestly always very tired as of recent. But completing tasks does give me, I love it so much. That's why, I love RPG games, because it's you can do all these quests and it feels like I'm doing so much in life, and it's way easier because it doesn't have the physical energy. Saturn sextile moon. You run a tight ship in your work life. People with whom you spend your professional days will most likely feel comforted by your ability to be both responsible and nurturing. You may rise to leadership roles early in your career. It's important for you to feel emotionally nourished by your everyday work environment and wellness routines in a measured, sustainable way. I agree. I don't know. It's weird because it's I have a leadership role, but it's because I'm self-employed, so very, very odd. But hey, we're here. Uranus trine moon. Your work life brings out a part of you that is emotionally excited and recharged by innovation and invention. You require regular changes in your work environment to feel excited and inspired. This can mean regularly trying new hobbies, changing jobs, or testing out new technology to improve your product. You process emotions and integrate meaning through new experiences, which give you a fresh perspective. Yeah, I would say I do like being first in stuff or doing things that no one has ever done before, like that. It really excites me. Neptune trine moon. You may gravitate towards fields where your bent towards caretaking plays a prominent role, such as healthcare or wellness. Adept at reading a room and understanding the energies at play, you are a skilled mediator or facilitator. You want your daily work routines to inspire a feeling of interconnectedness. When they don't, fantasy becomes more fun than reality. It's very true. I do like caring about people. I never thought about being a mediator or facilitator. I think in some ways that makes me a pretty decent producer, but I'd have to figure out, maybe I'd go into that work. That kind of sounds fun. Sorry for all the planes. Hey, podcasting outside, even if I podcasted inside at LA, this is, constant. Your Mercury is in Capricorn. You are a practical, down-to-earth thinker, highly skilled at using your experience to generate strategies and initiate plans. You create solid foundations for projects and apply your knowledge to create sustainable structures in the world. I actually love doing that. Yay. Thanks for noticing, Chani. In the second house of assets, resources, and livelihood. Well known for your natural sense of authority and a sharp, strategic mind, you've made a living primarily through forming the right partnerships with the right people. Your knack for investing in relationships and taking them seriously usually pays off. You know that when the best people are involved, your skills only serve to amplify each other's. You enjoy being recognized for what you do and can put a lot of pressure on yourself to achieve certain standards, particularly when it comes to providing for yourself and those you love. Wanting to create material security is a great motivation, but it can be difficult for you to actually value your successes. Remember that the nurturing, non-professional connections in your life are worth their own form of wealth. I think it's very true. I think I have a lot of good relationships. I think I'm even building more, I would say, but yeah, I do that like pressure to put myself on achieving certain standards and wanting material security, but yeah, I do have trouble valuing my successes sometimes. Sun conjunct Mercury. Because Mercury can only ever be 28 degrees away from the sun, it's incredibly common to be born with this combination. In general, it means that the style in which you intellectually express yourself is also the style in which you shine. It can bring extra significance to your house your Sun and Mercury are in, and speak to the importance of studying, writing, and speaking about the issues that it pertains to. Well, it's cool. Sometimes I feel like I express myself intellectually stupid, so this is nice. Moon trine Mercury. You may use your voice to advocate for resources, either literally through your job or simply by being aware of the nuances that make economic nourishment a reality. You will always be thinking of new ways to provide for others and for your life in general. Very true. Saturn sextile Mercury. You have a deep sense of responsibility when it comes to creating resources and security, but you're able to turn the pressure into effective work. You build meticulous foundations and structures that grow over time, allowing you to share your knowledge and your own value. Remember that your human needs aren't frivolous, but rather useful guides towards a fuller embodiment of your own wisdom. That's true. I need to accept that being human is a beautiful gift and not try to be alien, because it's not who I am. But yeah, I do really like creating security and resources for people, and I like to put in foundations that are gonna last, hopefully. Mars conjunct Mercury. You can be self-critical to the point that you turn your frustrations against yourself, particularly when you compare yourself to capitalist standards of achievement. Feeling secure in your resources may require confronting challenging ideas around what material stability looks like. Reflect on your impulses and channel your fire into ways of creating abundance that feel generative. Yeah, definitely. I definitely feel like I'm in that comparing of capitalist standards of achievement, even though I've met some of them, but not all of them, and I'm even like improving towards them, and I'm still like, it's not enough because the system is soul-sucking, you know? Uranus conjunct Mercury. Freedom is important for you when it comes to your financial choices. However, too much of a good thing can lead to instability in your resources. It may temporarily feel good to follow your impulses, but leave you angry with yourself. Try to recognize where those disruptive desires come from and acknowledge the anxiety beneath them so that you can move towards greater self-trust. Yeah, I definitely need to learn to curb my impulses because, yeah, sometimes I'm like, what am I doing? So I'm working on that anxiety, though, so that we'll figure it out. Neptune conjunct Mercury. It is challenging for you to find clarity when it comes to work and supporting yourself. Managing your resources brings up discomfort. You may prefer to avoid thinking about money altogether. Current capitalist systems of value might feel empty, but you do still need to care for yourself, and denial isn't helpful. Get clear on your needs so you can find helpful strategies that accommodate your sensitivity. Yeah, I think I definitely dealt with this in my earlier 20s, and I think I'm managing to like figure this out more and more every day, so at least I'm on the right track there, in that weakness. Venus in Aquarius understands the necessity of having values that are rooted in something far greater than oneself, that reach far beyond one's own personal needs. Aquarius is concerned with the edges of things, with the distant limits of reality, society, and truth. Venus is focused on connection, harmony, and unity. Combined, Venus and Aquarius is a bastion of the humanitarian philosophies that take seriously the shared root of words, community, comment, and communication, speaking a core message of comprehensive togetherness. Pushing on the margins to create more space for inclusivity is one of Venus and Aquarius's favorite activities, and it's one that leaves a legacy both loving and radical, creating a new history by imagining a more beautiful future, which I definitely think is something I'm doing. That's really powerfully written also. Good job, Chani. In the third house of communication, daily life, siblings, and extended family. You have a talent for nurturing friendships that feel like family and founding groups and communities based on the ideas of mutual support and care. These communities are varied too, filled with a multitude of people who tend to occupy the margins rather than the mainstream of society. Your skills at compassionately communicating across culture divides allows you to communicate to causes both small and large, identifying shared root problems and diplomatically navigating the creation of innovative solutions. Tending to your own needs and well-being only serves to support your communitarian efforts. As you develop a deeper understanding of your own limits, you'll better be able to focus your efforts where they will be of maximum benefit. Good. I needed that last line to hear it, But yeah, I really am concerned with community, particularly after COVID. I was like, this is really important to have. Ascendant sextile Venus. Your ability to create moments of unity, cohesion, and beauty brings bounty into your world. You know how to smooth ruffle feathers, preen your plum, and attract a wide variety of playmates to your park. You treat the exchange of pleasantries like an Olympic sport when necessary, and few can escape your charms when you've decided to lay them on thick. Like honey, so much sticks to you when unprotected. Make sure you save the sweet stuff for those who know how to reciprocate. Wow, that's like weirdly... I think I've had that a lot, because I think I have a similar thing with that, but I definitely think that is a big thing of knowing what people are worth my efforts. And it's so hard because I generally care for everybody. Like they said, I'm very into community, so it's hard for me to turn anybody away because I believe like everybody has value and stuff, and they sometimes just have to realize it. Moon square Venus. Extravagant tendencies can arise as a means of soothing yourself. You may find that tough interactions inspire the need for self-indulgence. Just be careful not to overdo the daily delights and pick-me-ups. You need a lot of beauty and pleasure in your daily life, and when you don't put it directly in your path, the hunt for it can take you way off base. Very, very true. Jupiter sextile Venus. For you, beauty is not a luxury. It is an essential component of your everyday rituals. Whether you are nourishing your body, relationships, or your local neighborhood, you invest in presentation and style, understanding that attention to exterior detail is not superficial, but rather a sign of tender respect. You see the value in what others overlook. This is definitely maybe explains my zany wardrobe, but I think I could do better with, like, caring for my skin and hair. That's always been, like, a battle for me. And, like, working out and stuff, but I'm getting there. Pluto sextile Venus. Daily rituals that help you cleanse, reset, and renew are always front and center on your vanity. People are attracted to you for the depth and clarity you convey in all of your conversations. Beauty tends to find you exactly where you are, and you don't take that lightly. Your immediate environment, the familiar faces that you populate it, the books and media you surround yourself with and contribute to bring you great pleasure. To read is to be read, and you welcome the exchange. Also beautifully written, and I loved it. Your Mars is in Capricorn. I have so many Capricorns. You have more stamina, strength, and endurance than most can make sense of. Self-motivation, you've got an entrepreneurial energy in spades, and you're probably the boss or destined to be one. Others value your work ethic and consistency. However, it can be easy to feel burdened by the weight of responsibility, like you're the only one you can count on. Don't be afraid to delegate, even when folks have different ways of doing things. You have particular methods and plans, but you can sometimes limit yourself with your own rules. Cultivate some agility and openness to new methods. You might be surprised by how you level up your own game. Yeah, I think I'm still like learning how to do my methods better and not be stuck in my own, like, weird rules that don't even make any sense and aren't helpful. Also good to hear the encouragement of my entrepreneurship. Just slight apologies if you hear any noise. I have stopped podcasting outside and am now podcasting inside in Florida, and it is too hot to not turn off the AC, so if you hear the lull, just call it Zodiac, baby. Also, my computer's dying, and I walked 7 miles at Disney, so this is where we're at, Anyway, moving on. In the second house of assets, resources, and livelihood. Creating a livelihood can come easily to you because you aren't afraid of hard work, but also because you know how to recognize a game you can win when you see one. You know how to take your creative energy and turn it into something lucrative. You have a million projects on the go, irons in the fire at all times. Beyond what forges you, it's healthy for you to examine your relationship to your ambition. What is motivating you to make the money in the way that you do? If it's the belief that if you have enough, nothing bad will happen, then no amount of success will bring a feeling of inner abundance. Your abilities are to be given the gratitude they deserve, but it's important for you to get clear on what you want and why, so that you're using your powers in a way that serves all involved in the best possible way. You feel your best when simultaneously supporting yourself and doing work that supports those who would otherwise fall through the cracks. Yeah, this one really came for me, I think, in terms of examining my ambition, and I think I'm definitely doing that. I definitely think I believe that, if I had money, all my problems would go away, and I don't necessarily think that is the case, because in working as hard as I am, I've been dealing with a lot of health struggles, so that is a problem that is arising. And but yeah, it's such a fine line right now because it feels like I need money for my health struggles, but trying to make money makes my health struggles worse. So really fun position to be in. Moon trine Mars. You have an innate courage, drive, and energy for activities that bring you income, especially when those resources are for your family or your personal security. You have the ability to assert your needs and the courage to try new things in order to increase your wealth. You instinctively protect your assets if you feel they are under attack. True. Saturn sextile Mars. You are diligent when applying your energy. You aren't about to waste time or resources on things that don't have substance, that can't secure a stable outcome. You are dedicated to your work and aspire to be someone who holds their own. You know how to apply yourself to long-term goals. Though your exertions may be tiring, it's important to know if you have the energetic stock to be able to accomplish the things you set out to do. I think that's true. I definitely am very particular about how I spend my time a lot of the times, and will feel sad if I feel like I'm wasting it. It's the quickest way for me to get overwhelmed. Mercury, conjunct Mars. You can be self-critical to the point that you turn your frustrations against yourself, particularly when you compare yourself to capitalist standards of achievement. They really called me out on that one, huh? Feeling secure in your resources may require confronting challenging ideas around what material stability looks like. Reflect on your impulses and channel your fire into ways of creating abundance that feel generative. I need specifics, baby. No, just kidding. Trying to figure it out. Uranus conjunct Mars. You love the thrill of a high risk, high reward, but may find yourself dealing with constant influxes of money coming in and going out. Working smarter gives you the mindset to use your creative abilities to overcome obstacles, which is critical in creating financial freedom or the ability to build the lifestyle you desire. Oof, if they didn't nail me on that one, you know? Neptune conjunct Mars. You can get caught up in the spiritual question of why we even have money, perhaps struggling to take concrete action around earning, spending, and saving. Materialism probably isn't your thing, but finding a project or a dream worth investing in is a surefire way to bring more depth, purpose, and clarity to your action and pursuits. Oh yeah, I'm definitely in that spiritual struggle of why money, and I just also was like, well, it is in this reality and I have to get over it. Like, I'm not about to end the capitalist system as one being. That's wild. My Jupiter is in Sagittarius. Generous and generative, you know how to make more of whatever materials are in your possession. You understand that a hope met with intellectual rigor is an unstoppable force, that centering optimism and a belief that abundance is for everyone actually creates pathways to making it possible, and that faith isn't free, costs us our cynicism, and demands we spend a lifetime practicing it. Well, this was honestly really nice to hear, because that's actually something I really am believing right now, that I have to give up the negativity to have it and create these pathways, and that they're worth it. In the first house of self, body, appearance, and vitality. Visionary and unattainable, you aim to satisfy both your insatiable need for freedom and your ardent desire to reach your goals. You have a mission and you are enthusiastic, if perhaps not the most detail-focused. Your plans may not be thorough, but you have an ability to get the job done on what sometimes seems like sure faith alone. Your vim and your vigor draw ample attention and even charm circumstances, seemingly without you trying. Whatever your personal calling in life, your faith, philosophies, and beliefs inform how you show up. Whether you are teaching or mentoring others, investing in healing practices, or espousing the laws and philosophies that give your life meaning, you inspire people to be the best versions of themselves. More than anyone, you know that generosity creates luck, and goodwill is a benefactor of abundance. Yeah, I try to give as much as I can, and that motivates me to share more. I honestly wish I had more resources to share, but I'm getting them every day. Venus sextile Jupiter. You have a buoyant, joyful approach to life that is contagious. Others look to you for direction, with your confident, uplifting presence making you a natural leader, teacher, or healer. Even when you're engaged in conflict, people seek your guidance and wise example. I definitely feel like this app thinks my optimism is more contagious than it is maybe in real life to people, but I hope I'm inspiring, and maybe I'll meet more of the people I'm meant to inspire as I grow older. How optimistic was that? Even my therapist said on our second session that I was an optimist, which was very funny, because the one psychic was like, you're so negative. But I think I'm challenging my negative with my optimism, and a lot of my negativity is just like learned trauma, you know? Saturn square Jupiter. Your optimism is cautious, and the responsibilities you seek to take on continually bend in the direction of the greater good, and perhaps even of the divine. Part of your life's work is learning to define yourself for yourself, in spite of the oppressive frameworks you may have internalized in some way, shape, or form. Every inhale needs to be met with an exhale in order to keep the inner fire stoked. Don't worry if a little contraction follows your expansions. It's natural and a necessary part of your growth. Honestly, I needed to hear that. Perhaps even of the divine? Are you kidding me? I would Thank you. Pluto conjunct Jupiter. When it comes to describing your drive, ambitious is an insufficient word. You want your ideas to be out in the world, and you'll do what it takes to get them there. You're willing to put in the time and the effort, tending towards the obsessive side of things. You're particularly adept at discovering and transforming hidden kinds of wealth and resources, unwilling to discard anything or anyone who could be put to good use. The trick is to remember to appreciate things and people for themselves, and not only for their purpose or utility. Yeah, I think I have a hard time not defining myself or even other people by, like, what they do and, like, who is anybody anyway, you know? It's a very difficult question for me to, like, process even in terms of myself and other people. My Saturn is in Pisces. The great work of your life will revolve around cultivating responsible compassion and giving form to your fertile imagination. Your most painful challenges and magical gifts will be discovered on your quest to perfect the arts of feeling and creating. It is imperative that you learn how to erect healthy emotional boundaries between yourself and the other. You may long to merge into the ocean of complete connectedness, but be wary of the craving for a total relinquishing of self. A powerful wellspring of creative empathy exists within you, but you must learn how to use it wisely. Opening the valve too wide and too fast could send you running for the hills, or a bottle of your favorite reality dissolver. It is your job to act as a midwife to your dreams and allow the beauty and poetry within you to take shape in the material world. Yeah, I definitely think when I was in my younger 20s, I gave too much to other people and nothing to myself, and that's still a balance I have. In the 4th house of parents, home, and foundations, you need a home that can be a dream sanctuary, a creative hub, and a soft place for your friends and loves to land. Whether you felt overtly criticized as a young person, detached from your parents and caregivers, or like you were given the kinds of structures that helped your imagination flourish, what you need from an inner life now can be given by no one but you. Building the structures that help you to feel emotionally fed happens a little at a time. Patience with your process helps you heal the past and lay the groundwork for a fertile present and future. You may find that earning an income comes relatively easy from industries that have to do with home, housing, families, and the domestic spirit in general, land, or creating a body of work that tackles the history, traditions, and foundations of a person, place, or thing. I wish I had an inkling of where to start with that, if that's where the money leads, because I don't really know. I guess I could maybe start babysitting, but I've always felt like I was too wild that no parent would trust me with their kid, but maybe I would be better at it. But I also hate when children cry. It makes me feel so sad. But maybe if I tried to, like, help tell somebody else's story, I think I might be relatively good at that, but I'm so disorganized with my own, and like I said, I gave too much to other people, and I'm trying to give it to myself in that way. But I definitely at least think I have a home that suits me finally. Sun sextile Saturn. You have an inherent understanding of how to build structures that last. Grounded and realistic with ample charm, you understand what it takes to make things stick for the long haul, and you're comfortable putting in the work to ensure that they get there. You are particularly protective of your home and those you consider family, carefully guiding who you let into your inner sanctum. I would say that's very true about who I let into my inner sanctum. Just, one dangerous egg can ruin it for everybody, and that sucks. Or at least ruin it for me, and then I will ruin it for everybody, which sucks more. Moon sextile Saturn. Home is a serious source of solace for you. You are often the self-appointed caretaker in your family. Chosen or otherwise. You assess your emotional needs with calm reflection and may seek the perspective of your loved ones or elders when you need a second opinion. Influenced by your roots and deeply connected to a sense of legacy, you are interested in finding ways to carry on tradition, even the ones that need a makeover. Yeah, I would definitely say I always ask for, like, second opinions on myself because I, was raised by a narcissist and don't want that to be carried on, and I think I'm definitely finding traditions that I want to keep and traditions that I've definitely wanted to let go of. Mercury sextile Saturn. The wise and rational voice in family or cohabitation situations, you're great at creating structure for yourself and those around you. You understand the importance of personal boundaries and discipline. You enjoy serious conversations, particularly as relationships evolve over time. Your cultural history may be of particular personal interest. I literally feel like I don't have a culture, or I'm like the first of my cultures, which isn't really true, but it feels that way because there's not a lot of people to talk about my cultural history with. It's due to my family situation, but I try to be wise and rational. Sometimes I think I'm silly, and irrational, but I like to create boundaries and I try to have discipline. But sometimes, hanging out with too many Leos, I'll tell you that much. Mars sextile Saturn. Home and family may be a deep and steady reserve of strength and fortitude. You have an incredible capacity for test of stamina and endurance And when you are using this capacity to build something from the roots up, you'll find that you can accomplish amazing feats. What familial and cultural practices would you like to honor and build upon? Whatever it may be, you have the energy for it. I don't know that I agree with this one. As not necessarily... I mean, I guess that we were strength because we went through a lot of terrible situations and we survived as a family, at least on my mom's side. But I wouldn't say we're necessarily surviving healthy in a lot of ways. And I don't know that I have an incredible capacity with test of stamina and endurance. I mean, I think when I'm motivated, I can endure anything. When I believe in it, I'm, like, willing to suffer. But, yeah, I definitely built things from the ground up. But I don't really know which cultural practices I'd like to honor. I think that's something I'm still figuring out. Jupiter square Saturn. You provide a strong foundation for your family, chosen or natal, to lean on. The security you readily provide others with is valued, and you revel in your ability to be a source of strength for those that you consider family. But sometimes you might overextend yourself and your resources, physical, emotional, or both. You can offer a soft place to fall without losing your boundaries in the process. Oh yeah, I'm still figuring all that out. Uranus sextile Saturn. Mixing traditional family systems with modern ways of restructuring what it means to be a family appeals to you. It may seem counterintuitive, but by letting your home and family life flout custom in some ways, you may be able to reconnect with parts of your roots, history, and foundation that are really meaningful to you. Your home has the potential to become shelter to others who are simply redefining it for themselves. That's good to know. I think that's like kind of a beautiful thing about LA is the way you can redefine family. Neptune sextile Saturn. Your patience and commitment to passion is a big part of what allows you to draw strength from your family and home life. Even when your loved ones struggle to appreciate your boundaries, your visions of what a family could be are aided by your ability to put in the work and make your dreams a reality. In some ways, yeah. In some ways, it all worked out in terms of family life, but it was so hard that I think I'm still processing it. I need to let go of it. Ascendant square Saturn. Extra sensitive to restrictions that are placed upon you, you don't appreciate being told what to do. That is in part because you are already more than likely to be hard on yourself, but also because of former rules and regulations you've had to contend with. Burdens must be dealt with, but that doesn't mean they have to weigh you down. Find ways to stay fluid with your responsibilities. Rigidity sets in if you don't. Yeah, I feel that. I don't honestly mind being told what to do, but I think that I'm really hard on myself and that it hurts, honestly, when I don't get something right off the bat, when I'm not a mind reader, even though, like, what expectation is that? Pluto square Saturn. Because your early family life may have taught you some hard lessons about survival, it is important to you that you build a chosen family as an adult that is well protected from the threats of the outside world. Remember that you are at a pivotal point where you get to choose how your ancestral trauma gets transformed into gifts that are handed down to the next generation. Let your own fierce sense of integrity be your guide. That's wild that I know about my family life. Teaching me some hard lessons about survival. That is, like, pretty wild. Like, I wonder, do other people have this? Like, what's going on here? IC conjunct Saturn. As the last planet we can spy with the naked eye, Saturn indicates boundaries. On one hand, it provides the spine, the scaffolding, the blueprints to hold us up. On the other, Saturn can feel like a belt done one hole too tight, or a terracotta pot that our root system has outgrown. There's a chance your upbringing was strict, or that you didn't feel the freedom to make your own mistakes. That said, Saturn also rules commitment, decision, and stability, and we need those qualities in early childhood, as well as in the structure of our home. The integrity of our roof keeps the rain out. The predictability of caregivers stocks the fridge with food. When a plant outgrows its container, the only solution is to repot it. And you have a talent for that, for building containers and refining them. Making home inside structure, confronting a barrier and making it your rampart. I definitely feel like I did not have a lot of freedom to make my own choices, but it's good to know that in spite of it all, I persevered and figured out how to make containers that I can grow in. Pretty cool. Your Uranus is in Capricorn. Nothing lasts forever. With all due respect to what's come before, you are ready to start building something that will better serve both your peers and the ones who will come after. You aren't interested in doing a rush job, in going headfirst without proper planning, or in change for the sake of change. You want to be thoughtful, to bring all the right people to the table and ensure that this time, what is constructed will serve society in a way that will fulfill a greater purpose. You have respect for the past when it's earned, and an innovative drive which pushes towards the future. Yeah, I definitely think I am very interested in building legacy. In the second house of assets, resources, and livelihood. You bring a new perspective to old financial systems. Your bank account bounces back from low balances easily and often. You've got a knack for investment if you want to actually work with money, but spending time learning more about personal finance, at least, is very much worth the effort. When it comes to material resources, you've got an eye for finding treasures when upcycling, thrifting, and sifting through the sea of vintage store cast-offs. You may enjoy furniture restoration, working on vintage cars, or other trades that allow you to make a living by turning something old into something new. Yeah, I think if I didn't have my eye, I might have really gotten into that world, but now with my eye, you have to, like, be a sensitive baby about anything and, like, have very little risk, plus harder peripheral wise. But I am still journeying with money, so there's that. We'll see how that goes. Moon trine Uranus. Innovative change and occasional impulsivity are necessary components to your spending habits, as well as the qualities that help you build your bank account. When you allow yourself to innovate, more prosperity flows through your life. You may feel stifled or constricted by more traditional ways of making a living, and you most likely enjoy the thrill of earning an unforeseen paycheck. Oh yeah, I think that's part of, like, the love of acting, is, like, you never know when you're gonna make money, and then when you do, and the big sum of, like, for the work that it actually is. But I'm also craving stability. Saturn sextile Uranus. New and radical ideas fuel your ability to make a living, acquire resources, and garner self-respect. Part of you may tend towards the traditional, but that's only half the story. Your ability to see old ways of doing things in a completely new light is vital to how you build a sustainable life for yourself. I think that's, like, sort of, I'm definitely repurposing a lot of my old work now for my YouTube channel, but who knows? I think it would work more if I could follow the structure of social media sites more easily. Sun conjunct Uranus. Surprises seem to follow you wherever you go, and they aren't always welcome. However, your ability to work with unusual and seemingly random disruptive events is key to your life's purpose. While sudden events may affect your earning potential and ways of making a living, forcing you to have to adjust, it is important to remember those inner reserves of strength. When your finances are disrupted, you may internalize the shame of not having enough, which can be detrimental to your well-being. Value your tremendous resilience and the ability to adapt. Yeah, I think I definitely do that in terms of, like, producing. That was, like, I was like, well, I'm good at this, so I'm sort of have this skill where we figure it out, but Mercury conjunct Uranus. Freedom is important for you when it comes to your financial choices. However, too much of a good thing can lead to instability in your resources. It may temporarily feel good to follow your impulses, but leave you angry with yourself. Try to recognize where those disruptive desires come from and acknowledge the anxiety beneath them so that you can move towards greater self-trust. Yeah, I gotta figure out how to not... Most of my stuff is, like, just buying food when I could, like, make it or make myself eat, and that's... I'm definitely exploring kind of the learned eating disorder habits that I've had. So I've also just got to kind of be like, hey, I don't need to do every experience and that it will be okay. But I get, like, addicted, and sometimes there's so many art things in LA that are, like, a once in a lifetime op, and I'm like, I gotta go. Mars conjunct Uranus. You love the thrill of a high risk, high reward, but may you find yourself dealing with constant influxes of money coming in and going out. Working smarter gives you the mindset to use your creative abilities to overcome obstacles, which is critical in creating financial freedom or the ability to build the lifestyle you desire. Yeah, I'm still dealing with the influxes of money, and I'm definitely trying to learn how to work the smartest. Neptune conjunct Uranus. You are both a wild card and a sleight of hand trick at a poker table of life. You know how to think up a get-rich-quick scheme as fast as you know how to give everything you've got away. Financial extremes don't really faze you, or is it that you've just always find yourself in them? Either way, it doesn't mean you don't need a savings account that remains untouched until absolutely necessary. Such a call-out post for me and my several grand in the bank right now. But I gotta think about what I want to do with it. It's a lot of money. I want to spend it nicely, and I like to have a savings, you know, in case if something happens. But yeah, I usually feel like I am in financial extremes. So many Capricorns. Your Neptune is in Capricorn. As a millennial, you share a worldview with your cohort that is more globally interconnected and inclusive than ever before. Think globally, act locally is a succinct way to describe your conscious awareness of personal responsibility. Your adulthood has been marked by multiple worldwide economic recessions, and you are the generation that has built your careers out of side hustles. You have little idealism, institutionalized structure, and little, if any, trust in promises of the government and corporations. Rather, your desire is to reimagine the structure of society, and especially our collective relationship to wealth. Although the wealthiest among you, especially those who've made money off of illusions and fantasies, will have a hard time functioning outside of the existing empire. Yeah, I'm definitely daydreaming of a different economic world. Who knows if it'll happen. It is weird, though, because it's like, well, if several people shared my dreams in millennial then eventually we will be making a lot of the change. But I don't know, is there more of us or more of the upcoming generation, more of the past generation? Unclear. I'd be interested to find all that out, actually. In the second house of assets, resources, and livelihood, uncertainty, confusion, and inconsistency around finances and material resources, including how well you are physically nourished or provided for, have deeply influenced you. You may have profound experiences which force you to embrace a sense of detachment from wealth. You've developed a realistic expectation that money is transient and that peace can be experienced without the stability of predictable concrete income stream. However, it's important not to turn to unhealthy forms of detachment, such as escapist self-medicating when feeling the disconnect between your ideals and your ambitions. Nature is a material source available for you for healing when you're feeling unsure. Visiting nature reserves or hiking on trails may be particularly helpful. Yeah, I think I need to use more of nature as a good time, but it's hard with like an environmental allergy of like the cold, and I feel like at a certain point of the season I'm like locked out, or if it's even too hot, it's like I can't get sunburned for acting and you can't get like scratched up, but I need to go into nature more. It's being a bit silly to not. And yeah, there should not be, escapist self-medicating, and I think I definitely want more, even though I'm like said that I think like emotionally I am fine. I know that like realistically I need more stable sources of income. Like it's just silly. It's easier that way. It's kind of that like artist thing that I was like shaped by when I was a child of just living in lack. Moon tri Neptune. Your imagination, creative visualizations, and creativity in general help you tremendously when it comes to generating personal finances. Managing your money can feel boring, but the practice of doing so is incredibly important. Even if you have to hire someone you trust to make sure it gets done. Be careful not to give your hard-earned wealth away to every person who tugs at your deeply empathetic nature, but do find a way to put your resources towards creative and healing ends. Yeah, definitely in my 20s I was doing that, and that was not good for men who were way more capable than me. But yeah, money, it does seem boring to me, but it is something that I just need to focus on and get it done. Saturn sextile Neptune. How many side hustles do you have? You are always dreaming up new ways to make money, and you're organized enough to put them into practice. But you may idealize hard work and feel confused when hard work doesn't immediately reap the awards you imagined it would. Don't let disappointment get the better of your creative energy and ingenuity. You're a constant fount of visionary activity, and you don't have to bring every idea to life, only the best ones. Yeah, I really need to listen to that. But yeah, I do get shocked where I'm like, I work so hard and I'm not immediately given everything. Like, duh, it doesn't always work like that. Also, when I'm not following traditional financial structures, like, of course. Sun conjunct Neptune. You tend towards the dreamy and idealistic, but need to remember to protect your boundaries. Your ability to shine as brightly as it may want to may be hampered by an ability to stay on track financially. When it comes to making and holding onto money, you may facilitate between being overly idealistic and unable to follow through on your grand plans. Always have to be careful about entering situations where you may be taken advantage of, especially around financial dealings. That's true. Yeah, I definitely was too trusting, and sometimes I think still can be, and get swayed by stuff that's not necessarily worth it. Mercury conjunct Neptune. It's challenging for you to find clarity when it comes to work and supporting yourself. Managing your resources brings up discomfort. You may prefer to avoid thinking about money altogether. Current capitalist systems of value might feel empty, but you do still need to care for yourself, and denial isn't helpful. Get clear on your needs so you can find helpful strategies that accommodate your sensitivity. Yeah, it is hard. It does make me very uncomfortable, and I wish that it didn't, but it's like, I don't even know how to describe it. I get so overwhelmed thinking about it, and just overwhelmed applying to jobs, and just feel constantly like never enough, and that brings up a whole lot of stuff that I'm working on. Mars conjunct Neptune. You can get caught up in the spiritual question of why we even have money, perhaps struggling to take concrete action around earning, spending, and saving. Materialism probably isn't your thing, but finding a project or a dream worth investing in is a surefire way to bring more depth, purpose, and clarity to your actions and pursuit. I feel like that's my production company. I feel like making movies that matter, but it's such an unstable business, so I need to find, I think then it'll probably be something in the mental health sphere, but I might have to go back to school, and that's going to be stressful. Your Pluto is in Sagittarius. You and your generation were born into a period of unprecedented exploration and global connection. The internet was at many a fingertip. Any question could be answered without having to visit a library or wait for a book to come in for the first time in history. Raised in a world transformed by a veritable flood of knowledge, you and your peers are part of changing how humanity processes, prioritizes, and shares that knowledge. If a credence is mainstream, well-established, or commonly misquoted, then one thing is for sure, you are going to look into it. You are a natural skeptic, but only because you take your beliefs to heart. Looking for a resonant philosophical system or a way of life is very important to you, and you won't settle for half-baked religiosity. Your high expectations push you to interrogate society's tactic moral agreements in order to create something you can believe in. Yeah, I'm definitely feeling that. I used to be super Christian, and then it was just like, if things aren't adding up, I need to know more. What about corruption? This is all over my man. I've never met a man who wasn't slightly corrupt, or didn't want to take the easy way out. Like, prove me wrong, I'd love to meet that man that doesn't, but I haven't met him. And I've dated a lot of them, and I've met a lot of men. So, yeah. I'm in too deep. I gotta investigate, In the first house of self, body, appearance, and vitality, you aren't interested in playing by the rules. You may have spent a good portion of your life stripping away the layers of your personality, trying to get to the core of who you are, understanding the essence of your power and to what end you might want to use it. Magnetizing to you a myriad of diverse experiences, the chances that you have lived a boring life are slim. Very true. You've likely sought out or been placed in extreme situations that others find remarkable. Whether harrowing or awe-inspiring, these experiences have helped you to better understand where you lie on many spectrums of life. With your most pivotal moments occurring through relationships, you've most likely experienced a wide array of them. Having needed to live many lives in one, you are now able to look back on your youth and wonder how exactly you had the confidence to attempt all that you did. Yeah, definitely. I think I was wild. And I wish I was more focused. I made so many mistakes, but at least I guess I got them out of the way, because I feel like now I'm trying to make less and less mistakes every year, and I've been relatively good at it. It's definitely not as turmoil as it used to be, but yeah, I don't know. I guess sometimes people say it's remarkable. Sometimes I forget because other people deny that it ever happened, so it's like such a bounce back and forth in my mind. Venus sextile Pluto. With you, there's a lot more than meets the eye. People think that they've encountered a friendly, charming face, and then boom, you've pulled them into a deep confrontation with themselves and with the nature of connection of itself. There's a persuasiveness to your presence that can coax others out of hiding and into a deeper investigation of their own relationship to life. Yeah, sorry, y'all. I often do that, and I honestly wish I could not, sometimes I wish I could just be a normie and have a shallow conversation, and it's like, nope, we're going in deep, sorry. It's like going on a ride, hope you want to go on the spaceship ride. Jupiter conjunct Pluto. When it comes to describing your drive, ambitious is an insignificant word. You want your ideas to be out in the world, and you'll do what it takes to get them there. You're willing to put in the time and the effort, tending towards the obsessive side of things. You're particularly adept at discovering and transforming hidden kinds of wealth and resources, unwilling to risk anything or anyone that could be put to good use. The trick is to remember to appreciate things and people for themselves and not only for their purpose or utility. I feel like I've had that one a lot, but it's a big one. Saturn square Pluto. Your ambition to become an authority runs deep, but it will take time. You need to give yourself permission to be in a state of transformation, to not rush life's necessary processes. Otherwise, you run the risk of becoming overbearing, obsessed with what it means to have power. You risk ignoring lessons necessary to ensure that you wield it wisely. Getting enmeshed in power struggles will most likely tear you away from your path and delay you meeting your destiny. Understanding your own personal power, how to connect with it, and how to use it in transformative ways in the world will bring you so much personal satisfaction. Yeah, I definitely feel that I am trying to rush sometimes instead of just letting me transform on whatever timeline it's going to take, and it just is what it is. Your MC is in Virgo. In your work, you're fastidious, you're thorough, you pay grueling attention to details. While you may enjoy a bit of wind in your hair in your daily affairs, your work brain magnetizes to every potential flaw or imperfection. On one hand, this care creates a mighty and inimitable final product. On the other, your anticipation of potential defects may mobilize you from actually completing anything. For you to release a project, it needs to be perfect. But if perfection can't be reached, and it can't, you struggle to let go. Rather than surrendering to analysis paralysis, experiment with making mistakes on purpose. See where they take you. What surprising openings can you find in your typos, glitches, and gaffes? Yeah, I definitely think this is very, very real to me, and I have been experimenting with being flawed, and people have not liked that, but I definitely am less stressed out than I used to be. In the 10th house of career and public roles, whether you're the front person or the one who invisibly runs the show behind the scenes, you're a natural leader. There's a good chance you also feel at ease in positions of visibility. That could involve a facility for finding publicity for your business or growing your platform on social media. Alternatively, you might have name recognition within your organization, with colleagues or employees viewing you as a role model. You're an entrepreneur, someone who thinks strategically about how to grow your reach and resources. Maybe that involves meeting the right people at the right time and having the charisma and the business cards to foster future collaborations. Or maybe it involves back-end research, crunching numbers and data to steer your path forward. Your leadership, your voice, and your mission contribute to the profound impact that you have on the world. Good to know, good to know. I don't always feel like the best leader, but good to know that kind of a natural thing. Your IC is in Pisces. The IC is the root bulb of the chart, where the sun scrapes the belly of the sky at midnight. You can't see a planet on the IC. It sits at the bottom of the heavens, as in the Latin name, Immum Coli means in English. Accordingly, the IC represents your inside lives, your homes, parents, and ancestral knots. It is the wellspring, the seed, the hearth, the root cellar. With the IC in Pisces, your root cellar contains kelp gardens of dream, sensitivity, and feeling. Pisces is Jupiter's seaside estate, and Jupiter may have presided over your upbringing to some degree, exposing you to faith, escape, and fantasy. Jupiter brings laughter and libations to any party, and your childhood may have absorbed some swell of excess and wide ocean abandon. Your forebears include poets, preachers, musicians, and witchy woo workers. On the other hand, you may have apprentice inspiration and spirituality from a young age. On the other, your caregivers may not have been the most involved parents at the PTA meeting. While the IC can hint at themes in your upbringing, or deeper than that, down the subterranean tubers of your heritage, you have power in deciding which cups to pass on and which to drain, rewriting the script as you choose. Childhood stuff that this app predicts is wild, because that is, everything it said was very true. And I'm just like, so is that determined by stars? Like, there was nothing, it was not up to my mom's choices, things were always just going to be this way. Like, what is occurring? You know what I'm saying? Like, what literally is happening right now? In the fourth house of parents, home, and foundations, with the IC rooted to the midnight of your chart, your days divide cusply in two. There are sunlit hours, the time you spend at work or engaged in the world. Then there's the respite of coming home, shutting the doors, swapping your business casual for uncompromising loungewear, and doing what you do to get cozy. Family could be central for you, whether that involves building a family of your own or tracing the tendrils of your ancestral lineage. You're on a quest for belonging, sleuthing the branches of your family tree, and reclaiming the mythologies that seeded you. Part of this work involves discerning which stories you want to pass on and which patterns end with you. Yeah, that's also incredible. That's exactly where I'm at right now. Saturn conjunct IC. As the last planet we can spy with the naked eye, Saturn indicates boundaries, which is why I love having it as a tattoo, honestly, because I need the reminder. On one hand, it provides the spine, the scaffolding, the blueprints that hold us up. On the other, Saturn can feel a bit like a belt done one hole too tight, or a terracotta pot that our root system has outgrown. There's a chance that your upbringing was strict, or that you didn't feel the freedom to make your own mistakes. That said, Saturn also rules commitment, dedication, and stability, and we need those qualities in early childhood, as well as in the structure of our home. The integrity of our roof keeps the rain out. The predictability of caregivers stocks the fridge with food. When a plant outgrows its container, the only solution is to repot it, and you have a talent for that, for building containers and refining them, making home inside structure, confronting a barrier, and making it your rampart. Yeah, I got this twice, but it's important. I really like the way it's written, so I don't mind reading it again, you know. Your DC is in Gemini. The descendant perches on the western horizon of the birth chart, where soul dunks under every eve. Gathered on the shore are the singular humans you want to watch that sunset with, the Thelma to your Louise, the Chewbacca to your Han Solo, the Piglet to your Pooh. Whether in love or friendship, your co-conspirers' brains are their most attractive features. You migrate towards folks who listen to your wildly cantering dreams and translate them into actionable hypotheses. If they're bookworms, they're also chatting magpies and social moths, matching even your skills at shapeshifting. You're drawn to folks who can tussle with you intellectually. You bring a landscape view to these discussions, while your besties and paramours hone in and on granular details. Your mutual curiosity matches you well as your companions, but you'll have to check your compass now and then to ensure you're even debating the same question. Yeah, I definitely feel that sometimes, as much of my friends are very smart, sometimes we're talking about very different things. Your north node is in Libra. Whether in art, love, or other labors, you're constantly recalibrating your scales. In alchemical terms, you embody the principle of gathering. You know how to melt your separateness to fuse with one or more people. When multiple hearts merge, they serve a purpose even greater than our solo missions. Except in a culture that reveres individualism, this is a tricky standard to live by. You may feel lopsided if left to your own devices, without a beloved or a co-conspirator to balance your own striving. When you do find yourself in a partnership, codependence may be a blade you tiptoe along. It can be easy to erase yourself this way, to sublimate your needs, your passions, your own hunger into broader allegiances. To find true equilibrium, you'll need to remember your own edges. Claim radical, radiant space for yourself. Whether you're in a relationship, a collaboration, or currently flying solo, you are exalted, you are worthy, you are sovereign, you are whole. Yeah, I think I definitely have struggled with codependency, and I definitely don't feel the best by myself, so, but That last paragraph was so sweet. In the 11th house of friends, community, patrons, and good fortune. With the North Node in the 11th house, you may find purpose through the covens, the collectives, and communities you participate in. You may have a knack for building these teams yourself, or for contributing as a support. You probably recognize equal merit in these roles. For you, the queen bee isn't more precious than the drones or the workers. True. The 11th house is also such stuff as dreams are made on. And with the North Node here, you may be a keeper of dreams, a designer of them, as well as their guardian. You perceive the ways your community might be more healthy or just, and you work towards these higher standards. Traditionally, the nodes of the moon are considered points of danger. With the head of the dragon in your 11th house, you might get so preoccupied with the wellness of your collective, you abandon your own pursuit of joy or creativity. Remember that it's okay to pursue pleasure or your personal enjoyment. The phrase self-indulgence doesn't have to be derogatory. Your private experience of pleasure and gladness does not detract from your concerns for the group. To the contrary, a constant drip feed of gratification and happiness will empower you to do your best work. Yeah, I think that is true, that sometimes in the collective I can abandon my own self. I definitely did that when I was younger. And that I am very concerned with, like, making my community the healthiest and the best that it can be. So, yeah, it's super interesting. I love the way all of this is written. And yeah, being grateful, I think, does help. Like, and I have to kind of let go of the boundaries of, and shame of, like, what self-indulgent used to mean, and like how like taking care of yourself is like a bad thing, like I was taught in childhood, when it's actually like very necessary and sometimes like one of the only ways you can take care of other people. Chiron conjunct North Node. With the North Node conjunct Chiron, you may find yourself on a perennial quest to find a mentor. Maybe you didn't have access to role models as a kid, and you're still yearning to be witnessed and guided by someone wise. Or maybe you did have folks to look up to, and now you seek to replicate that experience. I definitely didn't have role models. Chiron is a leader, and you may feel drawn towards healing work, such as conducting your own herbal medicines, or working as a nurse, doula, doctor, osteopath, chiropractor, or any other healer besides. I think I'm feeling more drawn to that, but I don't know where to start. The lunar nodes can tip into extremes at times, and one of your missions will involve learning how to internalize the mentor-healer figure. Does your search for outside knowledge ever deny your own wisdom? Probably absolutely, you know. Does healing other people feel easier somehow than confronting your own aches and pains? What if all of these sides of you nourish each other? You can be the seeker and the sage, the healer and someone in their own stages of recovery. So true. Your south node is in Aries. While you're trained in social graces, a less acknowledged part of you is uncouth, brazen, hot-headed, indiscreet. A certain wildness may rear up in moments of impatience when your accomplices fail to compute your subtleties. The complaints are boundaries you want people to understand, but which you struggle to voice out loud, thanks to your imperturbable tact. You may consider yourself node in Aries your feral twin, who delights in the fantasy of abandon, or speaking without filter. If you totally stifle this rowdy side, the heat may gather, swelling up in many ways you can't steer or manage. The nodes of the moon are points we tend to stumble over. It's hard to get the right balance, though balance is a craft you're well versed in. Know that you're intrepid. You don't need anyone else to be whole, and also, you have a way of completing other people. You meet your co-conspirators halfway, and then some. There's magic in both impulses. The trick is to not idle in one extreme for too long. Yeah, I definitely say I struggle sometimes with, like, voicing what I need, because I try to be tactful and polite, so that was very, very true. And I think it's true that I meet anybody who's working with me, like, halfway and probably even a little bit more for extra, just in case I ever slide into the not halfway part. In the 5th house of children, creative projects, sex, and pleasure. At times you may forsake your personal joy or pleasure for the will of the collective. Maybe you're so committed to your friendships, community work, or activism that it feels selfish to pursue activities that delight you and you alone. However, the experience of pleasure is deeply personal by nature, and that doesn't make it cheap or unworthy. If anything, this communion between you and your senses draws you closer to the earth itself, to what is pure and animal and holy. With the south node in the 5th house, you may relinquish your own acts of creativity to nourish more cooperative ventures. While there is an opposition between the spectacle and the spectator, or the performer and the audience, those roles aren't mutually exclusive. They need each other. Oh, I love the way that's written. I also think that's true, that I sometimes feel selfish with pleasure. Like, even going to Disneyland, I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have gone right now. Like, I created too much, and I needed to finish creating the other stuff, but even though I think the exercise was good for me, but yeah, like, I shame, like, myself for giving myself a good time. Like, it's really weird and really dumb. The goal is to bring your creations, your children or your art or your song to the groups you walk in, to not sacrifice your crafts or your joy, but to share them wildly. Yeah, that's
I'm definitely getting better at sharing. Your Chiron is in Libra. Chiron in Libra knows that a doorway is both an entrance and an exit, that a glass must be half empty in order to be half full. Chiron in Libra knows that the truth is not singular, that heroes are oppressors and others tellings of the story. Your bruises include moments where your commitment to fairness begets ambivalence, where you discover a fork in the road and devote so much time to assessing the pros and cons that you forget inaction is inaction, that immobility is one option you neglected to appraise. The challenge is to consider all sides, yes, then risk committing to one. Chiron in Libra pursues peace as ideology while balancing the constraints of their own relativist thinking. The moment where you decide is just as crucial as the moment where you step back for a clearer perspective. No more, no less. Yeah, I definitely feel that, and like I always consider all sides of the truth, and that I often can get like a decision like paralysis where I don't know what to do. In the 11th house of friends, community, patrons, and good fortune, past experiences in friendship may leave you with a lingering fear that you don't quite fit in. On a bad day, you may flit from friend group to friend group because past dynamics have attempted to define you in a way that felt rigid or inauthentic. You may even miss that your open mind and venturesome spirit make you the ideal person to co-construct your community's hopes and dreams. Rather than searching for proof of acceptance, you might become the consummate witch, healer, truth teller, who is more than happy to live on the fringes. Over time, you may also find and recognize your people, the ones who feel like mentors, protectors, or co-revealers in life's ups and swivels. With the Chiron on the 11th, it will feel natural for you to hone into the craft of teaching friends or folks in your community the subtle ways to reparent the parts of themselves that never felt seen or tended. There's room for all of you here. Oh, I love the way this is written so much. So many of these have been so good. But yeah, I definitely often feel like I don't fit in. And maybe I should just be fine and be like, I just live life on the fringes and this is just what I do and it is what it is. And I've already found some of my people being the way that I am, and like, how else am I supposed to be? If I could be another way, wouldn't I? North Node conjunct Siren. With the North Node conjunct Siren, you may find yourself on a perennial quest to find a mentor. Maybe you didn't have access to role models as a kid, and you're still yearning to be witnessed and guided by someone wise. Or maybe you did have folks to look up to, and now you seek to replicate the experience. Yeah, I don't know why some of these are repetitive, but I also think that that's very true about my quest for a mentor. Chiron is a healer, and you may feel drawn towards such healing work, such as conducting your own herbal medicines or working as a nurse, doula, doctor, osteopathist, chiropractor, or any other healer. Besides, if you have any recommendations of where I can start into healing, honestly, I think I would love like making tinctures or stuff like natural remedies, but I don't quite have like the garden or the land space. But yeah, the lunar nodes can tip into extremes at times, and one of your missions will involve learning how to internalize the mentor healer figure. Does your search for outside knowledge ever deny your own wisdom? Does healing other people feel easier somehow than confronting your own aches and pains? What if all of these sides of you nourish each other? You can be the seeker and the sage, the healer and someone in their own stages of recovery. I think that's so powerful, I don't even mind saying it. And that's pretty much my Capricorn deep dive of everything. What did you think? If you kind of know me through watching my videos, do you feel like it was accurate? What were your Chani results? Like, what did you think of them and everything? I did also want to just close this on something. I did like the year one too, and they were so accurate to this year because it was talking about how I needed just like that this year was like about healing generational trauma, and that was very beautiful because it really was what it was about, and just the things that it was talking about was really awesome. So I just wanted to mention that I got a lot of benefit from that too. For me, the price is still a little too expensive. Like, I'm just not where I can do a lot of frivolous stuff like that, but I appreciate it. And yeah, I would love to know more, like, what you guys thought and liked about the app and other stories you have of it. And I hope you enjoyed this video and getting to know me deeper. Sorry for all the sound stuff. I was in Florida at the time, but I hope it was still wasn't probably too bad. I think I've definitely had worse sound things beforehand, but thanks so much for listening, and if you could follow all my social medias linked below and subscribe, that would mean the world to me, and I hope you have a great time discovering yourself.